What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Tia Avril.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with couture designer and apparel manufacturer, Kiya Tomlin. But before we get into all of that, Tia, how's your weekend going?
It's going good, actually. I hosted, which I don't know if we had talked about it, but I hosted a Favorite Things Brunch with a group of women, and it'll be like 10 of us.
Okay.
On Friday. So it was good. It turned out I decorated. I have to share pictures.
Wait, girl, what?
It was cute. Well, let's rewind. So the designer came and decorated the house for Christmas. Okay, let's be clear there. But the whole tablescape situation, the countertop, the food setup, drinks and all that kind of stuff I did. I was like, Atoya will be proud of me because this is cute.
Yes. So wait a minute. Time out. If you can decorate a whole tablescape and do this amazing spread for women, you can decorate your house.
That's kind of different, right? Because you kind of know what you want, right? Like you kind of know, like, okay, this tablescape, I want this black taupey champagne, whatever it is, and then you can just zhuzh it together, right?
Yeah.
When you decorating your house, there's a lot more to go into it because you got to think about spatial planning. You got to think about, like all the things, okay? And I have been ordering all kind of stuff online, getting it in and not liking the shit, okay? So that is different. But
I don't think you would. I think you could do it. Like if you really, I think you really could. You don't give yourself enough credit. You could do it if you really wanted to. Because you know what you want. Like to your point, like you be knowing what you want.
Maybe it's that I just can't find all the stuff. So if I can get to like somebody that can source like, this is the look that I'm going for, can you help me find it? Then you're right. I could probably.
You could definitely do it. Okay, so tell me more about this Favorite Things Brunch. Okay, so what did y'all do there?
Okay, so of course it's drinks and stuff. I made espresso martinis. I made pomegranate margaritas. Okay. And then a mimosa bar situation. Then of course the chef did food and, it was a whole vibe. And then I like this group of women because it's like an older, more established group of women. And I say older, everybody's under 50, but it's just like, one, they pour into me so much, but they're so thoughtful with their gifts, right? Okay. So like, we got, of course, candles and journals and stuff. We got, just things that pour back into yourself. Because, for the most part, moms kind of usually get the short end of the stick around Christmas. Everybody opening up 11 gifts. Moms get like 1 or 2 gifts. So it was amazing to get 10 different gifts that were so thoughtful and, all the things. So we had a grand time.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, I need to share this one story.
What's up?
So last week was a busy week. Okay. And so Xander was Scientist of the Week. He had a holiday program. I was doing their holiday party. And then I had the brunch, right? This is all Thursday, Friday. But you got to do Scientist of the Week leading to it.
Yeah.
So knock it out, whatever. Me and Cliff go in for Xander's presentation. And he does well.
Okay.
And the kids one of the kids raised her hand. She was like, hey, I really like your board. I like how you placed the word drop because it was about water and whatever. And Xander goes, thanks. I didn't do most of it.
He did not call you out.
He called me out. Now these
Crunch
teachers.
Berries. I know you were like sliding like,
girl. And Cliff was like cracking up. And I'm like, why would he say that?
And in his mind, he thought he said nothing wrong. He's like,
at all. But I'm like, these teachers know that the parents are doing the project.
Ouch. Well, hopefully he still got the grade that he deserved because I know if you did it, it was amazing.
Look. But what about you? How was your weekend? How's it been?
Weekend it's been crazy busy. To your point, it's just that time of the season where it's just holiday central. So there's so many activities and brunches and dinners, and my son just got back in town for the holidays from college. So it's been nonstop, and it's going to be the same next week because my kids, I still have all of their activities and stuff this last week of school because they're not out yet. So, so they don't get out till that Friday, the 22nd. So I'm still going. It's been holiday central for like 2 weeks for me, and I'm still going, girl.
So, okay. So my boys, their last day was this Friday. So the 15th. When do your kids go back to school then if they aren't out until the 22nd?
So let's talk about it, okay? Because I don't think we've ever talked about this, but Jersey is so weird. They are so weird when it comes to Christmas vacation. They don't give the kids a full 2 weeks.
Really?
So, yeah. So, for instance, they get out Friday, and then they go back the day after New Year's Day. So January 2nd.
They go back the 2nd?
Yeah. So it's not even a full 2 weeks. It is so ridiculous. And they need to do better. I'm sorry, but it's like the only state that I've ever lived in that did this. And I think it's so pointless. It doesn't even feel like a break. It's like right when you start getting comfortable and getting into it, you have to go back. You not only that, but you can't really plan as much as you probably want to plan around the holidays because it is so short. And like for me, for instance, with all my family being on the West Coast, it would be nice if I wanted to go back home and spend time. I wish that I could, but Jersey, listen, it's like prison over here. They don't be playing with, they be so stingy with these days, and I'm tired of it.
Wait, it's always been like that? Like they've never really gotten a full 2 weeks?
They've never gotten a full 2 weeks. And I don't know if it's because they take off so many different holidays for I don't even know why. And not to mention our summers are short. Like, you know, my kids don't get out to almost the end of June, like June 21st, 22nd. Like we're always right around there, you know? And so and everybody's been out, I feel like for a month. We're still in school. It's just so bizarre to me. And we don't even get like a full, like, you know, in Seattle, you got the full holiday, the winter break, or not the winter break, but like the midwinter break in February, you get a whole week then. We don't even get that. It's crazy here. I don't appreciate it. I want to say that.
What time does school start for them?
School starts early. Like, let's see. My son, let's see, what time does Nehemiah have to be at school? He's at school by 7:25.
And then he gets out, what, 2:33?
Yeah, he doesn't get out till 2 something. So it's not like it makes no sense.
I was trying to see if they weren't getting enough time, like in the day, but that's a full day out here.
I had to Google it, but we have like longer school years than it's just a lot here. And I really feel like it could be done better and be more efficient, but listen, y'all, I got Nehemiah's a senior. So after this, I'm down to one. So I'm at this point, I ain't trying to raise no. But if I had little ones, I'd have a problem. Like, you know, here being in Jersey and the way their school system is set up. And they can't tell me it's because they're learning more, because half them days be half days, teacher this, like it's wasted. It just doesn't make sense. They need to really come in and rethink that. But it is what it is. It's I'm excited that my baby's home for the holidays, and I'm about to listen. He gonna be sick of me. You hear me? By the time he gonna be running back to college. He's like, I'm tired of my mama.
Okay, well let's talk about this real quick before we get into women in sports. So he just finished his first semester. This is his first time he's been away from home to this extent. I know you guys have seen him, of course, a few times. But how did he say his first semester went, and how has it been for you? Like this first little hurrah.
You know, I was so proud of him. Twofold. For one, he really stepped up and he did what he needed to do as far as school. He knew what his grades were. He was very cognizant of, okay, I have this grade. I need to get this in order for my final, in order so I can get this grade. Like he was on it, and I didn't have to say anything. He was telling me. He was like, "Hey, mom, da 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 da." So I was like, "Okay, son." So I was really proud of him in regards to that. And, I just asked him, it's funny. I said to him, how was it? You were away, like you were a grown man for a whole semester. Like, how does it feel? And he was like, Mom, it was easy. He's like, you prepared me. He's like, there's nothing I didn't know how to do. He's like, I felt like it was easy. He's like, I didn't even thought, a lot of people were calling their parents and asking. He's like, I was good. And I was just good. So proud. Like he just had like this confidence and this peace about like, I got this. I'm ready. Like whatever happens. And that's his mindset. Like whatever happens, happens. He does not let much bother him, which I really admire about him. And he's just, he sees the positive. He figures it out. He's a go-getter. Like he's always trying to think like, how can we do this? How can we fix this? He is definitely his mother's child. But yeah, I told him, I said, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad to hear that. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, all my grades should be A's and B's. They should be in soon. I'm like, okay. So that was that. Right, he was happy. I was happy. And yeah, he's going to be sick of me. Come January, he's going to be running back to college.
Well, that's good. Excited
but
for him.
yes, that's been my week. Just my kids, just really trying to be intentional about really spending the time and doing fun things with them and just getting through all this holiday stuff, girl. Parties, you know how it is. It's that time of the year. But enough about that, girl. Let's get into our Women in Sports segment.
All right. So this week in our Women's in Sports, we are talking about women's soccer again.
Okay.
So I don't know if you caught this, but Giselle and Alyssa Thompson will make history as the youngest sister duo to play in the same team in NWSL history. So
wow.
Giselle, she's an 18-year-old defender. Her sister already plays with Los Angeles Angel City FC team. Alyssa's 19. She's a defender. But they signed Giselle to a 3-year plus a 1-year option contract. So they'll be playing together this season. So I got a question for her parents. Like, what did y'all feed them? Okay. Because we're trying to figure it out.
That is so dope. They immersed them in it. Like, that's probably all they know. And it's so cool that they get to do it together for at least 3 years with an option of a 4th. That's pretty dope. I love to hear that. Congratulations to them.
Yes, yes.
Okay, y'all, before we get into our conversation with Kiya Tomlin, we want to remind y'all that we still have our new Inside Lines merch. Make sure you get our season 5 t-shirts. You can give them to friends for Christmas. It is that time of the season. And y'all cop one for yourselves and walk around and let people know to check out our Inside Lines podcast. So head to our link in the bio or on our website, but make sure y'all get your merch. It is the holiday season.
Yeah.
Okay, coming up next, our conversation with Kiya Tomlin. On the show today, we have a woman of many titles. She is a fashion designer, a founder, an entrepreneur. She's also a proud wife and mother and lifelong artist. And she is a curator of everyday inspiration. Please welcome to the show, Kiya Tomlin. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So there's so much to talk about with you. I'm just going to go back a little bit and talk about your early journey into fashion. Can you take us back to your early days of creating prom dresses for friends and family and talk about how this childhood hobby of fashion evolved into your true fashion or passion, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always sewn and designed since I was a little girl. Really, it was mainly because I had a love of fashion, but I was really, really tiny and couldn't fit the clothes that all the cool kids were wearing back then. Okay. You know, they didn't used to have all the cool children's wear clothing stores that they have today now, the assortment. So you were like at Sears, Penny's, and Macy's in the little Easter dress looking things. I was probably about a size 6X at 12. Oh. So when I was about 11 or 12, I asked my mother for a sewing machine so that I could learn to make clothes that were stylish and fit me. And I quickly learned that not only could I make what the other kids were wearing, but I could also make things that I thought were better than what the other kids were wearing. And so my journey kind of started there. It was my hobby. I loved spending my time doing it. By the time I was in high school, middle school, I had made my entire wardrobe for myself. By high school, I was sewing prom dresses for friends and family. And then in college, I was sewing and designing costumes for the sorority girls, as well as the white initiation dresses, maternity clothes for my gymnastics coach.
What?
So it was just something that I just always loved to do.
Now, at this point, were you actually selling all this stuff? Or were you just doing it just for the love of it?
I was just doing it for the love of it. I think it was, back then it was a pretty unusual thing for a person to do. I think people thought it was kind of cool. Yeah. So I felt pretty cool that I could do that and people would ask me for things. I loved the challenge of it. I loved the piece of it. It was just fun for me.
You know, I remember my mom. I wanted to find out if your mom took you here. I remember she would take me into the fabric stores, and they had those big books, and she would take her time sifting through because she loved to sew, and she would find something that just resonated with her, and she was like, "I'm going to make this." Were you that person? Like, did you go into these?
Yes. Yeah. So my mom actually did not sew.
Okay.
No one in my family sewed. No one had any interest in fashion aside from I had an aunt who was the diva, fashionista. But other than that, nobody else was into fashion. But my mom had taken home ec in 8th grade, and so when I asked for a sewing machine, she kind of dusted off her home ec skills, and we learned together how to work the sewing machine and read patterns. And so yes, I did frequent all the fabric stores with the pattern books. I love the pattern books. I still love the pattern books. But what I would do, because at that age I didn't know how to design my own stuff. So what I would do is I would find something that was kind of similar. So it might be the sleeves on this jumpsuit, but then it might be the neckline on this blouse, and then it might be the skirt bottom on this dress. And then I would buy all those patterns and I would Frankenstein them together to get the vision that I had in my head to create that. And so that's how I learned kind of to design, was based on like cutting and taping and piecing pieces together.
Okay, so can you tell, because I feel like the knowledge of what a pattern is, and it's like going to find it is kind of lost amongst the group of people that listen to this podcast. Can you tell them what is a pattern? Because I used to love pulling patterns too. Now granted, I don't know how to sew. I know the basics, but I don't know how to sew anything. But that used to be really fun, like going in search of different patterns.
Yeah, so patterns is really, it's like the 3-dimensional form in a 2-dimensional piece of paper. Yeah. So, you can't just put a piece of paper on. It's got to have curves and lines and fit certain ways. And so if you were to take apart something that was 3-dimensional and flatten it out, it's going to be this weird shape, but that's what the pattern is. And so it's printed on paper, and you put it on your fabric and you cut it out. And then once you sew it together, it forms that 3-dimensional shape.
Yes, you young people.
For the
get into pattern searching.
I think about those times that my mom did that, and she really loved it. And obviously this was a passion for you. When did you realize, like, you know what? I could be good at this. Like, when did it click for you?
Like, this could be a career?
It was actually many years later. As I was growing up, I grew up in northern New Jersey, so right outside of New York City.
Okay.
My mom actually encouraged me to go to fashion design school. They had FIT and Parsons. It was stuff was there, but at that age, I didn't know anybody that did what I did, had an interest in what I did. I didn't know anything about the industry. I didn't know what all you could do in it. I kind of thought you were either, Ralph Lauren, or you're the little old lady in the alteration shop. Those are the two options. And I didn't see myself as Ralph Lauren, and I didn't want to be the little old lady in the alteration shop. And so I went on to college to study what you're raised to kind of think: doctor, lawyer, teacher, policeman, fireman, like kind of the identifiable basic things that you see and every day. So I went to college and was a pre-med major.
Okay.
And after I graduated from college and I was studying to take the MCATs, I woke up the morning of the MCATs and I kind of just said, like, you know what? I don't want to take it today. I was ready, but I just didn't want to take it. And what was going on in my mind is right after college, I had gotten married, and my husband had started his journey in his career, which was a lot of, and as I was learning what it was, a lot of moving, a lot of hiring, a lot of firing, a lot of instability. And in my mind, I was thinking, how do I become a doctor when there's always the possibility that we're going to, he's going to get fired or promoted, and we're going to be packing up and moving. And then, if we want kids, he works these long hours. How is that going to fit in? And so I decided to kind of just take a breath for a minute and think about it. And when the MCAT test rolled around again, if I knew it was right, I would take it then. And nope, never looked back. But what turned me to fashion was I had gone home and was visiting with a friend's mom, and they had always known that I had wanted to become a doctor. And so this was, kind of surprising that suddenly I'm just not going to be a doctor. And she was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I have no idea. And she gave me like the best piece of advice. And it was just figure out what you love to do and find a way to make money doing it. And I've always sewn, always designed, packing up and moving. Like, my sewing machine's always with me. I would fly with it. So that was obviously the thing that I love to do. Now, finding a way to make money doing it, that was a whole other story.
How did your parents take you saying like, okay, I'm actually not going to take the MCAT. I'm not going to pursue this career choice?
My mom was like, I told you so.
She was like,
once I decided on fashion, she was like, you should have listened to me when you were 16. You know?
Oh, that's good though. Because she supported that. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, she says even to this day, she's like, I never saw you as a doctor. She's like, I know you were smart enough, and yeah, you did well in school, but she's like, your fashion design has always been your love. So she saw that.
It's very interesting because I feel like, the things that we're so good at, people are like, oh, you know what? You should do that for your job. And a lot of people are like, I don't know. Maybe I'll just go try this, or maybe I'll do that. For you, is that how you felt? Like, this is just something like I love, but I don't know if...
Yes.
Okay.
I always just was like, well, it's a hobby. I love to do it. I didn't see it as a job. And back then, like I'm almost 50. So back then there was no Project Runway. There were none of those TV shows. Fashion was not glamorized back then, aside from, top name brands. And so I just didn't realize that there was a world of stuff you could do in fashion. Whether it's a magazine editor to a journalist to a costume, a theater costume designer, like all of these things. And I think had I known that, I probably would have gone into fashion. I'm just thinking I'm a seamstress. I'm a makeshift designer. That's not a career. That's a hobby.
Yeah.
So what?
But I also think that you said that we encourage people to like go into you should do this, you should do this, which I'm also learning now is like but not even though you have a love and a passion for something, we are not all equipped to actually turn it into a business.
Yes.
And
yes. Oh, goodness gracious.
So if I can cook, maybe I should be a cook, but maybe I should not own my own restaurant or bakery.
Exactly. Okay, well, to that point, though, what did your first experience look like? Like now okay, I'm pursuing this passion as a career choice, as a business. What did that first experience look like for you?
I actually kind of fell into that as well. Like I'm a perfectionist, and I will study, and I'm a student. I love school. I will study and I will learn, and I will basically procrastinate and think about perfection without ever acting on it because, it's not perfect. It's not there yet. And so the business started because I actually ended up going to fashion design school at one point, just for 2 years because my husband ended up getting a job at the University of Cincinnati. And so they had a fashion design program there. Tuition was free since he was an employee there. And so I, took as much as I could in that short period of time that we were there. Is that
standard for college coaches? Like their spouses can go?
In college, it was at that time.
Oh, okay.
Now,
awesome.
that was 20
I think it's
some years
too.
ago.
Cliff, go get a job at UW real quick.
So similar to like if your children can
kids as
most
well.
likely go to school for free. So very similar. And so after we had left college and he took his first job in the NFL, we were at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had just envisioned, well, I'll just find a design school down here and continue studying. And my husband was like, he's like, school is no longer free. We're done. You're done. We're not paying for it. You've got a degree. We're done. And so I was kind of like, okay, I guess I'll start a business. And I did wedding gowns. That's what I started. I loved wedding gowns. But the funny thing was I was still like doing them for free because I love to do them. And I felt I was afraid of the, like, once you accept that you're in business and you take money for it, then there's like a certain level of expectation that I was afraid of.
Your signature dress, that became like the anchor for your ready-to-wear collection, right?
For the ready-to-wear collection, So this is like years before that.
Okay.
This wedding gowns. And my husband kind of had put his foot down again and was like, you will not do one more free thing up in here. So the business was born.
Yeah.
Let's make some
because
money,
that's
honey.
a lot of time, right? Like you spent the time in school and now people are still taking advantage. They're not taking advantage, but just, capitalizing on all this time you put in it. You got to get paid for your time.
Yeah, I think my husband was more concerned about like dinner is not on the table because you're over there hand beating a free wedding gown. I think that was his concern.
You were focused. You were laser focused.
Okay, so wedding gowns became like your first entrepreneurial job company. Nice. Okay.
Talk about how the signature dress came about.
Yeah, so I did wedding gowns until I realized that brides are crazy and I did not want to work with brides anymore. And so transitioned. I stayed with the custom design.
You got to tell us one crazy bridal story now.
Bridezillas.
I am not gonna reveal.
You don't have to give any names,
but it really was just one that did me in. And I was like, you know what? Like, you're entitled to, it's your big day. You're entitled to that stress and that, whatever you want to make of it, but I don't have to be a part of that. And so I just removed myself from that. And continued to do evening wear, red carpet stuff. I would do mother of the groom because they're so easy. They're just excited to be invited to the wedding. Mother of the brides are as bad as the bride, so I didn't want to do them as well. So I went on to do evening wear, and that way of working worked with our lifestyle of moving. By now we had young children. I could do it when I wanted. I could take on as much as I wanted. I could decline. You have months to work on something. And then the signature dress came about when, we have 3 kids, as my youngest one was starting school, getting ready to start school, I knew I wanted to start like kind of ramping up my business, really more so just because I was concerned that like once my kids were gone, well, let me first just say that most football coaches' wives, at least in the NFL and highly likely college, most of them don't work because of the instability of the job. It makes it very hard. The long hours, we're usually the ones that have to, raise the family and pack up and move and that kind of stuff. So, so I knew that I couldn't commit to like a full on business. But I wanted to start laying the groundwork so that when my kids were older and independent and grown and out of the house, I wasn't just sitting around sad like I saw a lot of the other wives do, because their purpose was gone. Their purpose grew up and walked out the door, and now their husband is still working long hours and they haven't developed anything for themselves, built anything for themselves. So I got a little studio space outside of the house so that I wouldn't be distracted with the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning, and clients could come to me instead of me traveling to their homes. And after just a couple months, it might have been like 3 months, I realized that like I don't like getting dressed, even though I have a closet full of like fabulous stuff. Now I'm public facing, so I have to dress nice, but it didn't suit the kind of work I was doing, because I'm still very hands-on. I'm climbing on top of cutting tables. I'm like scooching on the floor, hemming things. And here I've got this silk blouse and slacks on that need to be dry cleaned and that kind of stuff. And so I decided that I would just make a dress for myself that was practical, and it was kind of like my uniform. I could just put it on every day without thinking about it. It was, professional enough to meet with clients, casual enough that I could, run around town and go to my, tend to my kids' stuff. It could be dressed up, so I could, in the evening, I could go out and, for cocktails or something. And it was comfortable so that I could do the work that I needed to do, all machine washable, throw it in the washing machine at the end of the day, and put that thing back on next morning and not have to think about it. And so I designed what is called the signature dress. And it really was just for myself. And I wore it every day, and people would stop me on the street and ask me where I got my dress. And so I kind of thought, oh, you know what, this may be a little something. Maybe I'll make these and sell them on the side for people that don't need, can't afford custom design. But I knew I didn't want to sew those myself, because I was like, I'm not a sweatshop seamstress. I am a couture designer. So I learned I spent about a year learning how to produce patterns and find and work with a factory to be able to have those manufactured by someone other than myself. And that's where the ready-to-wear collection started, from that one dress.
What was the material?
It's the same fabric I'm still using to this day. It is bamboo sweatshirt fleece. It's bamboo, cotton, and spandex. So the bamboo makes it super soft and drapey, so it looks elegant as opposed to like a cotton sweatshirt. The stretch is just non-binding, so all of our stuff we don't use any button zippers, elastic, fasteners of any kind. It's all just based on the stretch of the garment. And it's machine washable, and it doesn't get hard as you wash it. If you've ever had like I have a Champion sweatshirt that when I got it, it was just amazing. But the more you wash it, it like gets really hard and kind of crispy. Yes, crunchy. And there's no stretch to it.
I thought I was the only one.
Yes. So our fabric doesn't do that. Our fabric stays super soft, like buttery soft and stretchy, and just the most comfortable thing.
So, okay, so at some point you also decided to, like, as you were building your collection, that you wanted to establish like your own manufacturing facility, which is kind of rare.
Yes.
I mean, not kind of, it is rare because you see everybody is outsourcing to India and China and every other place. What made you decide, okay, I want to do, not only do I want to manufacture this in the US or, you know, close to me, but I want this to be mine?
Yeah, rare, possibly dumb, but
Brave. Let's go with brave.
brave. Thank you.
Very brave.
So so when I first started working with the factory, I actually was not like gung ho made in, like must be made in America.
Okay.
It really was that I had never worked in the industry before. I didn't know anything about, you know, fashion design industry, apparel manufacturing, factories, any of that. And so I was like, let me just stick with somebody in the United States that I can be hands-on with, that speaks the language, you know, no language barriers. And so that's how it started. And then I was surprised to see how many of my customers and potential customers wanted to know where it was made, and they cared that it was made in America. And I was like, that's interesting. Okay. So how I got into actually manufacturing it ourselves was the brand started in 2014. In 2016, we were in about, I think maybe 20, we were wholesaling, maybe about 25 different boutiques around the country, and we had just landed some orders internationally. Not a lot, but you know, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is.
So we're international now.
Give yourself a kind of an international. Hello.
Look, we are international now. Uh-huh.
So the fabric that is knit specifically for us was being knit in LA, and the mill had one of their knitting machines went down, and they could not finish our fabric on time, and so we had just landed all these orders, so I didn't want to lose them. Yeah. So I told the mill, just send me what you have, send it directly to me. And I leased a little rundown warehouse space, you know, in town. And I had one assistant at the time who also knew how to sew. And we were able to make all the orders that we needed to ship internationally. Now, the problem was we were never able to come back and get all the United States orders done. And so when you don't deliver to a store, they don't want to do business with you anymore. And so we lost all those accounts, and, you know, kind of had to start from scratch. And so starting from scratch to me meant like, well, I didn't have the money to just start a whole nother collection. Yeah. So I reached out to the factory I had been using in New York and asked, and I didn't, you know, I thought this was a crazy ask. I didn't know if people ever did this, but I, you know, kind of was like, okay, we'll see. I asked if I had any fabric left over from previous seasons that they still had on hand. And he said I did. And he shipped it back to me in my little, you know, warehouse makeshift factory. And when it arrived, I was shocked at how much fabric there actually was. I had been over ordering fabric. We hadn't used it all. Oh, wow. Just pallets and pallets of hodgepodge mix of fabrics that I guess eventually he would have sold them off because I didn't know that they were there. And so we used those rolls of fabric in our little makeshift factory to kind of pinch and squinch and put out small collections for the next couple seasons that we sold online and in my studio space, which I then turned into a retail space. Wow. And that's how we kind of survived for a couple seasons until we were able to afford to buy more fabric. But in the meantime, I learned that I liked the control of doing it myself. I liked to be able to see how much fabric I had left. I liked to know if a style was doing well or not. So if, you know, when you work with a factory, you have to order hundreds of a style. Right. When I do it myself, I could make, you know, 10, 20. I could make as little as I wanted.
Test the design.
See how they do. Yep. And if they sell, great, I'll make more. If they don't, okay, stop selling those and reallocate that fabric and make something else. Or we even had a style that we made, didn't sell well. We brought it back in-house, cropped it, changed the neckline, and put it back out, and then it sold. So stuff like that we were able to do. So
gives you the flexibility.
Yes, and we could also manage our waste of fabric. And, you know, we could see what size scraps we were doing. We donated a lot to a variety of different charities, the Humane Society for pet toys and bedding. One woman would collect fabric to make neck rolls for hospice patients, therapy dolls for children with cancer, that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I just loved being able to do all of that. But at the same time, we had a store and we had our little factory, and I had 2 employees and some part-time girls that I had hired from the local art institute to do some of the sewing. And so I envisioned, my goal was to vertically integrate, so it was all in one place, so I could, we could be at the store, we could, sell from the store. We could also manufacture. We spent most of our time manufacturing. If somebody came in the store, we looked around, who's less busy, you stop, you go sell or something, and then you come back to work kind of thing. And so that's how we got into manufacturing. And it has since grown to actually needing another location.
I was just going to ask you how many people you have now, how much, space you're probably, because it was just 2 of you and then you've expanded.
Yes.
How's
so
that
it's been a couple years. So we hired a few part-timers in between, part-time workers. And what we would do is we would do like small runs, kind of test runs, new seasons of stuff. Then when it sold well, then we would send it out to a larger factory to produce it in bulk.
Oh, okay.
If it didn't sell well, we didn't waste our time and money.
That's smart.
And so we did that for a while. And then in May, I leased an actual location, and we moved our manufacturing to there, where I have 6 seamstresses and someone to oversee production. And it's maybe 4 miles from the store. So like I was just there this morning checking in, and then, we'll pop in and out.
And even to be able to do that, like I was thinking about, it being overseas, you can't really pop in and see what's going on, right? So like having just the creative control to just go in there and check it out. I'm like, oh, actually, like I'm sure that is a huge perk as the founder, the designer, all of it.
It is a huge perk, but I'll tell you what probably is more of a perk
What's
to me
that?
is the women that I've been able to hire. The women that I've been able to hire are moms. And they are refugees. They don't speak English. They wouldn't otherwise be able to work, but they sew and they love to sew. And so I allow them to define their work hours so that they can build their work around raising their families. So ideally, if somebody wants to come in and work after they put the kids to bed at 8:00 at night and they want to work for 4 or 5 hours, they can do that. I'm not there, but they have, they have access to do it. And
That's smart.
And I think it just, I feel for that, because I feel like that's what my life was.
Yeah, you know that feeling. You understand, like, as a mother yourself, you understand, like, okay, I get it. Yes, if you want to come in at these times, good. Because we know the chaos, okay? So...
Yeah. And they need them. They want to make money. They want to contribute to the family, but they also want a sense of self and a break. And I know what that feels like too.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, so you talked about this, and this is leaning on along the same topic, but Atoya and I are wives of former professional athletes, right? So we know the whole, to your point, of man in the house, man in the fort, taking care of the kids and all those things. You have it on another level with coaches, because I'm like, I talked to some of my coaches' wives' friends, and they like, oh yeah, he was gone at 5 this morning. He got back at almost midnight, so you're really doing this by yourself. So you had 3 kids and you're running this business, this very demanding business. How were you able to balance it all?
Well, I don't like to use the word balance because that really insinuates that you got harmony. It all covered.
There's harmony, right? But it's not.
No, it's more like juggling or it's plate spinning. It's like plate spinning. And sometimes the plates fall, sometimes they slow down, sometimes you get one going really good and the rest of them are crashing. So yes, coaching lifestyle is unique, but I think because my husband and I went to college together. We got married. I was 2 weeks out of college when we got married. And he was, went right into coaching. I didn't know any different. And I always was a very independent person. I liked alone time. I didn't need him there all the time. So I think it suits, like, the lifestyle suits my personality. Yeah. I think if he had a normal job and came, that was 9 to 5, I think he would drive me crazy and I would probably drive him crazy. So the long hours kind of work for us.
Which is something to be said about retirement, though.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified. But yeah, so I, as far as the kids go, I did it gradually, but also, I think it was, I'm proud of what they were able to see and experience because I was working. Because before, when I wasn't working, you know, if somebody forgot their lunch, you know, call mom, I run it over to the school. I remember one kid, you know, complaining because I hadn't done laundry and they didn't have anything clean to wear. And you know, after that, I was like, you know what, do your own laundry. So they learned to do their own laundry at a very young age. But, you know, if now, once I started working and somebody forgot their lunch and I'm like, sorry, I'm working, you know, they'll be hungry that day or have to eat the designated peanut butter, you know, hot, you know, pocket that they give to the kids that don't have lunch, but they'll remember the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it really taught them how to be independent, how to be grateful, because I think as an at-home mom, people are not appreciative of the work that you do, and you start to feel like a, you know, like a maid and a
Kiya.
nanny and you know, just at everyone's disposal.
Yeah.
and so I, you know, even if my business was not making money in the early years, and they didn't need to know that I was working.
Okay, mom, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Putting in the time. And you're right. It does make them appreciative. I think about, you know, being there in the beginning with the kids all the time and then transitioning even into doing this. And it was an adjustment for the kids. They're like, wait, mom, you can't. No, I cannot. You know, and even for Nate's like, wait, I cannot. Right. And so it does make them appreciate you more because it's not expected.
Yeah.
Right. It's not always like, oh, you're going to be there, do what I ask.
Because you're available.
You know, on my own. Yeah. It's like, no.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how was that transition? Like, were they like, okay, well, I have to figure this out, or?
It was very gradual.
Okay.
It was very gradual. Even to the point, like, you know, I only worked while they were when I started. I only worked while they were in school. So once they were home, I was doing their things. Then I would, you know, start to have them come help me out at the store. Like, you know, my boys would have to move rolls of fabric, move furniture. I need sewing machines moved. I mean, they still do. And my one son tells me he will not move fabric within a 2-week period because I'm notorious for like, move it here. And then a week later, I'm like, okay, now move it there. Yeah. And so he's put his foot down about how frequently I can ask for stuff to be moved. And then my daughter, she learned to sew, and I was able to give her first job when she turned 14. She got her working papers and she jumped in, and this was during COVID. We were making masks. We converted our little manufacturing into mask making.
They were nice and comfortable too, based off of the
that
fabric.
softness.
Yes.
Okay,
so we used a different fabric, but. Yeah, we used a different fabric. Our fabric wouldn't be suitable for that, but I did design the prints for them, and we were working with Highmark Health as part of their million mask initiative, where they gave out over 1 million masks. And so to be able to bring my daughter in for her first job and have that experience with her, you know, and for her, and to be able to see, like, man, she was a workhorse. She sat down at that machine and she plowed through. She took her little lunch break and she was back at it, and I didn't have to say anything. And I, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, she's watched me work hard all these years, and all the kids have seen the amount of work and commitment I put to it. And so, and as well as my husband too, they see how hard he works. And so that will translate into how they pursue their passions.
I know you were a proud mama in that moment, right? Like, wow.
Yes.
You know, it's so cool that she's doing something. You didn't have to like force this down her throat. Obviously, you know, for her to get in there and work that hard, and like you said, take a quick break and get back after it. I'm sure that you're like, she loves what I love. It's like a special feeling. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk about you are now. Well, congratulations on obtaining your NFL license.
Yep, we're going to the same question.
Thank you.
Yes, that is a huge accomplishment, number one. Talk about how this opportunity came about and what we can expect from your collaboration with NFL teams in terms of design aesthetics. We'd love to hear more.
Absolutely. So I had actually, I do have to give, credit that an NFL license, from what I've learned, is the hardest license to get.
The hardest.
So I was very fortunate that I did have kind of a communication access. We had worked with the league office through our Steelers charity fashion show. So I kind of knew at least the point person to approach. And I approached them years ago, and they were not interested. They were not interested. But I kept in communication, and it really wasn't until around COVID hit, when there was kind of all of these things kind of coming together between not only COVID and small business and social justice. And I reached back out and after my experience working with Highmark, I reached back out and I, said, hey, so, I'm now a diverse, certified, women-owned, minority-owned small business. And I think that aligns with the NFL's initiative of, equity and, advancement and that kind of thing. And it was then that they were like, let's talk. Yeah. And so I was at the cusp of them kind of venturing into developing or relationships with small and unique product brands instead of just kind of the sea of stuff that they have. And so that's how it started. The first year I was granted a license to do just the Steelers and see how that went. And that, blew that out of the water because, the Steeler fans are like no other.
Yeah.
And so then the following year, I took on 9 more teams to bring us up to 10. And those teams I chose based on geography to Pittsburgh, proximity to Pittsburgh, because I figure if it sells well in Pittsburgh, then people that live, fairly similar lifestyles in similar climates, it might do well for them too. And then this year we added on 11 more teams, and those were picked on based on shared colorways because we do a lot of color blocking. So the fabric buy is very expensive because we've got to buy minimums of fabric in all these different colors. And then for next year, we'll add on the final 11 teams.
I'm glad you spoke on the initial approach, right? Because people can assume like, oh, Mike Tomlin's wife, that's why she has this NFL license. But one, not only did they say no the first time, but you continued to kill in between time and persisted, to do that. So congratulations. That is awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I think it is definitely, with a big corporation like that, you have to be bringing something to the table. They're not handing anything out for free. And I think where, aside from my my diversity qualifications, really what we're doing is unique with our color blocking, but it's also unique in that our target market is slightly older. We're 35 to 75. Most of the available apparel out there for women is, jerseys, t-shirts, hoodies, streetwear, athleisure, young people type stuff. And this is targeting people that want a higher quality, a more wardrobe integrative,
more luxurious
line of apparel.
Too,
Yes,
exactly. Want it to last. You
exactly.
Don't want to do that quick.
And you can wear it, if I got casual Fridays at work, you can wear our pieces there and not be putting on a boxy jersey or a super sexy pink jersey.
Yes, that's so true. That's what I want to talk about that because I think yours is more geared around the modern woman, right? I felt like you've had 2 decades now of designing custom apparel. So what insights did you gain where you realized the modern day woman wants comfort and style, and how did you come up with that thought process? Did you just do some research or?
Well, I think having been a custom designer is a very unique experience for a ready-to-wear designer.
Okay.
Most people that go into ready-to-wear, if you go to fashion design school, they don't teach you how to fit bodies. You fit mannequins. You fit a perfect size 6. Since I didn't go to fashion design school initially, I had to learn on regular everyday women bodies.
Got it.
And so I definitely have an eye and experience in designing for different body types and flattering different body types. And I bring that into my collection where I'm constantly thinking about the different body types and what I would put the different body types in. I'm not designing specifically for, exclusively for that size 6 perfect hourglass figure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it unique. And then also, I live the lifestyle. I'm busy. I've got 3 kids. I'm working. When I go out, people, a lot of times will recognize me, and I need to look the part, but I want to feel casual, but I don't want to look casual.
Yes.
And so that's what I design for.
Okay, so what would you say was one of the biggest lessons you learned in the business of fashion, right? Because I think if we get on social media now, we'll see all types of people who white label or whatever, but they just they don't necessarily have this in-depth knowledge of fashion. Excuse me, as it pertains to business. So given your experience, because you went through all the facets, right? And you have knowledge on all the facets. What would you say would be the biggest thing you learned?
Yes, it is a business. It is a business. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. Something you love to do and are good at doesn't necessarily mean you can run a business. And I'm constantly, when I first started, I just thought like, well, if I build it, they will come. So I'll, make this product. It'll be awesome and people will want to buy it. And so I spent all my time, money, and energy developing this, perfect signature dress and didn't ever cross my mind about how to let people know about the product, like the marketing part of it, because I didn't go to business school. And I've since learned that you don't have to go to business school, but I do constantly study and learn and improve my business skills separately. I'm constantly using business coaches, business courses, and being able to cater them to my business and improve my business in that way. And then also that people say they want things. Yes, we want sustainable clothes. We want stuff that, isn't damaging to the environment. We want, this, that, and the other, but it really does come down to the price and what people are willing to put their money to. So the target market that you think you have may be a heck of a lot smaller when you put that dollar sign on it than you actually think it is.
That's so true. I want to ask you a question. So you think, Tia mentioned this earlier, you are the wife of the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. You have 3 kids that you're managing. You have this job that you're doing, and somehow you also are actively involved in supporting community involvement, like different community support, like that you walk out there and you're like, I want to be a part of this. How do you choose these causes to support? And you also, I think your role in the community has to do with your business as well, as far as giving back. Like, talk about how those two, I know I just completely messed that up, but talk about how, with community, the communities that you choose and your business, how do you decide what you want to be involved in?
It's overwhelming the amount of things that you can get involved with and that you want to get involved
and that you're
with.
Approached with.
First, yes, and you're approached with everything. And so, yes, it definitely takes courage, an ability to discern and really think about what it is that you want to do, because you cannot do it all. And so what my husband and I have done is we've defined where what our focus is, and we are kids in education. And so the things that lie outside of that, not that we don't do it, but it's an easier no. If it's kids in education, it's an easier yes, because we can't do it all.
That's so true.
And so that's kind of how we've identified what we get involved in.
That's actually a great answer.
Okay. You ready to play a game, Toya?
Yeah. Before we play a game, I want to ask you one more question. You talked about being a woman of brave and boundless energy, and that resonated with me because I feel like, yes, finally someone gets me. That makes sense. Talk about how you came up with that motto.
I love to do everything. I want to do everything. I've got so many things on my list of what I want to get done in my life and how I want to do it. And I treat my body so that I can do it. So there's an extra active component. I wouldn't say I'm naturally boundless energy, but I work at it because there's stuff that I want to do.
Do you mean you work at it as far as treating your body? Like, is it working out? What is it that you do that works for you?
Yes, it's the way I eat, the way I'd say I'm, fairly clean living. Don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't drink alcohol, don't drink coffee, don't drink caffeine. I work out every day. I try to stay on my feet mobile. I actually have a walking treadmill in here, but I didn't want to do it.
So you are a woman of boundless energy. You have a walking treadmill in your
I don't walk very fast, but it gets my steps up.
That's right. Okay, so this game is going to be easy for you if you do all that. It's called the 2-minute drill. And it's going to be questions that are this or that or fill in the blank. It's really fun, really easy. You know all about the 2-minute drill. You've lived this life a long time. So I'm sure you will excel at it. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right.
I'm ready.
Okay. What is your go-to comfort clothing at home?
I have a Snuggie. Leopard print Snuggie. We call it the cheetah.
The cheetah.
Yeah, let's go get your cheetah.
A movie or TV show that you think has the best costume design?
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I need to see that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. One fashion trend you never want to see make a comeback.
Oh. I don't know. I'm pretty adventurous. I don't think I need to see the thong out of the pants in broad mass acceptance.
Okay. I'm there with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it on a celebrity, socialite or something, but the college kids running around don't need to be doing that.
Spend a month without a car or a month without the internet?
Mm-hmm. Definitely a month without a car. And I'd like to be able to do both, actually.
Without the internet? Yeah.
Real talk.
I don't know if I could survive.
If you could bring back one fashion trend that you absolutely loved from the past, what would it be?
I love hats. And they're still, people still wear hats. I still wear hats, but they're not like how people used to wear hats.
It was a part of your fit, period.
Yeah. If you could swap wardrobes with any celebrity for a day, who would it be?
Oh, who do I love? It's kind of hard to say because usually the body comes with it. I'm like, give me J-Lo.
No, that's right. I know that is right.
Real talk. That's a great one. Okay. We all know that the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be your home NFL stadium as far as the best atmosphere. But name an NFL stadium away that you visited that has the best atmosphere.
Okay. Very hard because I don't travel with the team.
Okay.
We were at the Minnesota Vikings. I think I went to one game the year we were there, one or two games. I spent most of the time in the nursing room with my infant, so I can't attest to that. Tampa Bay, we were there for 5 years. It's sunny.
It's sunny. It's sunny.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you.
And those
all.
are literally polar opposite. Minnesota, Tampa Bay.
And Tampa, right.
Yes.
If you could change one rule in the NFL, what would it be?
Well, I'm a fashion person, so to be able to wear whatever you want on the sidelines. That's what I want to see.
You mean like amongst the coaches and stuff? Like they could just not the uniform.
Yeah, they all have the matching sweatshirts and I want to see a little personal style.
I agree, 100%.
And maybe even the players that are,
not playing.
that are on the sidelines not playing. What if they could wear whatever they wanted to wear?
Everybody would be checking for it for sure. Okay,
Yes.
final question for you. What is next for Kiya?
What's next for me? Getting this. We're new to the larger factory, so getting that up and running and on scale, and then moving back into wholesale, which we haven't done in a while.
Okay.
That, and then just learning how to get my business set up so it doesn't need me as much, so then I can go enjoy a different phase of life.
That's beautiful.
Awesome.
Where do we go to get your clothes? We want to know. Let us know.
On our website, kiyatomlin.us. We do have a store in Pittsburgh, so if you happen to be visiting Pittsburgh, come on over to our little boutique. And then our NFL collection, it is online, also at fanatics.com, as well as in some of the stadium pro shops.
And I'll be sure to put links to your website and all the things in the show notes. I got a question we didn't even ask. The age groups of your kids, what are they?
Yes. My oldest is 23 or about to be 23. The next one is about to be 22, so they are 12 months apart. And then and both of them, one graduates from Boston College this December. The next one graduates from Columbia University in the spring. And then my daughter is 17. She's a senior, and she is headed to the University of Georgia on a full gymnastics scholarship.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you. And both boys played football.
And you are almost to the promised land.
And that is so where I am. I have one in college. I have two boys and a girl as well. I have one in college in Nevada playing football. I have a senior son as well. And then my daughter she'll be in high school, starting high school next year. So I might have to reach out to you about
living the life.
These girls' high school, because middle school has been a lot different for me with a girl versus boy. So I already know high school's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, you know what? I can't. I don't know that I'm a good reference for that, because when my daughter was in middle school, we cybered her for gymnastics. She was a competitive gymnast, so she was doing 8 hours a day at the gym.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And she would just cyber at the gym.
Okay.
And then my boys, they went to high school, but they never. I still have never met a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I know they have them.
Boys are easy,
but I think my husband is kind of like, don't. They are, but it's like, don't bring any girls home unless it's the girl.
I know that's right.
Don't your mom doesn't need to meet all of that.
Listen,
don't bring all the ragamuffins around.
Yes, yep.
I agree.
Okay. Exactly.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and very inspirational, all that you have done and are continuing to do. And we can't wait to share this with everyone. I'm sure I always see now like different women in the NFL, they're showing like there's themselves sewing, or look at this outfit I made and look at this. And so it's crazy to think that you've been doing this for 20 plus years before it's now like a social media fad. So I salute you, and I thank you for making it cool when people didn't even know about it. So
thank you. This was so much fun.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. That is our show. For the latest on the Inside Lines podcast, make sure to follow us at Inside Lines Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
You can also listen online and share your favorite episodes at our website, which is insidelinespodcast.com. And if y'all don't know by now, we have a YouTube channel. That's right. Follow us at Inside Lines Podcast, and make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you get all the notifications when the new episode comes out.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening.